Let me say something that's going to sound completely wrong at first. Your job, the thing you worked years to qualify for, the thing your parents are proud of, the thing that pays your bills, is quietly making you poor. Not unemployed poor, not can't pay rent poor, but permanently stuck poor. If you're working 40 plus hours a week, getting small raises, contributing to your 401k, trying to be responsible, and yet your net worth still feels embarrassingly small, this video is for you. Because here's what most people don't realize. The way most jobs are structured makes wealth building almost impossible, even if you're smart, disciplined, and hardworking. And today we're going to break down exactly why. My name is Zach, and I spend way too much time thinking about why normal, hardworking people struggle to build real wealth. If you're someone who feels like you're doing everything right financially but still not getting ahead, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because this conversation, it might completely change how you see your career. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Most jobs are designed to create stability, not wealth. That's the pitch. Security, benefits, a predictable paycheck, and psychologically, that feels safe. But here's the thing. Safety and wealth are not the same thing. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American changes jobs around 12 times in their lifetime. Yet median retirement savings for Americans aged 55 to 64 is only about $185,000, according to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances. After 30 to 40 years of working, let that sink in. You can follow the traditional career path perfectly and still retire with less than what many people spend on a house. This is where it gets really interesting. It's not that jobs don't pay. It's that jobs pay in a way that caps your upside and maximizes your dependency. Let's do simple math. Let's say you earn $70,000 a year. That sounds decent, respectable. After taxes, maybe you take home around $52,000 depending on your state. That's about $4,300 per month. Now subtract rent or mortgage, $1,800. Utilities plus internet, $300. Car payment plus insurance plus gas, $600. Groceries, $500. Health insurance, $300. Subscriptions, phone, $300. Eating out, social life, $400. We're already at roughly $4,200. That leaves maybe $100. Now you might say, okay, but I'd budget better. Sure. Let's assume you're disciplined. Let's say you manage to invest $800 per month. That's $9,600 per year. If you invest that at 7% annual return for 30 years, you end up with about $907,000. Sounds good, right? Until you realize that's before inflation adjustments. That's assuming no job loss. That's assuming no emergencies. That's assuming you never stop investing, and 30 years is a long time. Meanwhile, inflation has averaged roughly 3% historically, meaning your money's purchasing power gets cut in half roughly every 24 years. So that almost $1 million doesn't feel so big anymore. Here's what most people don't realize. The job system is built on linear income. Wealth is built on exponential income. And those two are not the same thing. A job pays you based on time. 1 hour equals 1 unit of income. That's linear. There's a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. Even if you make $100 per hour, you're still capped by time. Now compare that to leveraged income. Owning equity in a business, building digital assets, investing in appreciating assets, creating systems that earn without your direct time. That's exponential. This is why, according to IRS data, most high-income earners still rely on wages. But most ultra-wealthy individuals derive the majority of their income from business ownership and investments. Warren Buffett didn't become wealthy from a salary. Neither did Jeff Bezos. Neither did most of the Forbes list. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Zach, but I'm not trying to be a billionaire. Fair. But even at smaller scales, the principle holds. A salary gives you control over survival. Assets give you control over freedom. Now let's talk psychology, because this is the part nobody wants to admit. A job doesn't just pay you money, it pays you certainty. And certainty is addictive. Behavioral economists call this loss aversion. We fear losing what we have more than we desire gaining something better. So even if you suspect your job is limiting your wealth potential, you stay, because it feels safer than the unknown. There's also something called lifestyle inflation. As income rises, expenses rise to match it. You get a raise, you upgrade apartments. Bonus, you upgrade the car. According to a study published in the Journal of Consumer Research, increases in income often lead to proportional increases in spending, meaning net savings barely move. This is where it gets really interesting. Your job slowly expands your normal. And once your lifestyle expands, you become dependent on maintaining that income. Now you're trapped. Not because you're irresponsible, but because psychologically your comfort zone got expensive. Let's talk about raises. The average annual raise in the US is roughly 3 to 5%. Inflation some years, 6 to 8%. That means in real terms, you might actually be losing purchasing power. But it feels like progress. Why? Because the number went up. This is anchoring bias. Your brain anchors to the higher salary, even if real wealth isn't improving. Meanwhile, your employer benefits from your loyalty, your specialization, your increasing efficiency, and yet your upside remains capped. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Companies are designed to maximize shareholder value, not employee net worth. Let me tell you a quick story. I once spoke to a guy making $120,000 a year. Nice house, 2 cars, vacations, on paper, successful. But when we broke down his numbers, he had $18,000 in credit card debt, $0 in liquid savings, a $3,000 monthly mortgage, a lifestyle that required $9,000 per month to maintain. He couldn't quit. He couldn't pivot. He couldn't breathe. His job wasn't making him poor in income. It was making him poor in flexibility. And wealth, at its core, is flexibility. Here's what most people don't realize. The biggest risk isn't starting something new. It's having one single income source. According to the Federal Reserve, nearly 40% of Americans would struggle to cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing. 40%. That's not laziness. That's structural fragility. When your entire financial life depends on one employer, you are exposed. Layoff, health issue, economic downturn, everything shakes. The pandemic proved this brutally. Now, before you think this is anti-job, it's not. A job is a powerful tool, but it's a terrible strategy by itself. Here's the shift. Use your job to build assets, not just to upgrade lifestyle. Actionable step number 1. Build a runway, save 6 to 12 months of expenses. Not because it's trendy advice, but because optionality is power. Actionable step number 2. Buy income-producing assets index funds. Dividend stocks, real estate, small online businesses, anything that produces cash flow without requiring your daily hours. Actionable step number 3. Develop high-leverage skills. Sales, marketing, content creation, coding, AI integration, skills that scale beyond time for money. Actionable step number 4. Lower your required income. If your life costs $8,000 per month, you're trapped. If your life costs $3,000 per month, you're dangerous. Because now you can take risks. This is where it gets really interesting. Wealth isn't built by employees who hate their jobs. It's built by employees who think like owners. Owners ask, how do I multiply this? How do I remove myself from the equation? How do I create leverage? Employees ask, when is my next raise? When is my next vacation? Is this fair? It's a completely different mental framework. And the shift starts before the business. It starts in how you think about money. Look, jobs aren't evil, but they are structured for predictability, not prosperity. If you rely on one paycheck for 40 years and hope markets save you at the end, you're playing a very long, very fragile game. But if you use that paycheck strategically, you can escape. Here's what most people don't realize. You don't need to quit tomorrow. You need to stop outsourcing your future to HR. Imagine this. Imagine waking up knowing your bills are covered even if you don't clock in today. Imagine negotiating your salary without fear. Imagine saying no. That's wealth. Not fancy cars. Not Instagram flexing. Freedom. Your job isn't evil, but if it's your only plan, it's quietly keeping you small. So this week, I want you to do one thing. Calculate your true monthly burn rate. Then calculate how much passive income you'd need to cover it. Write that number down. That's your freedom target. And from now on, every dollar you earn should be marching toward that number, because your job should be your launch pad, not your cage. If this shifted your perspective even a little, hit subscribe, because we're not here to stay comfortable. We're here to build real wealth. And that starts by seeing the system clearly.